Hey everyone, welcome back to Detoxified Podcast. My name's Hadasha, and we have our beautiful host as well, Myrna.
So excited to be here again for this hot topic of conversation.
Yes, and it is a very hot topic. This is part two. We are
Part two.
here with part two,
Mm-hmm.
and it's exciting because we are talking about masturbation, and
Mm.
we're going to go into other topics as well. And we are doing it again with our Mrs. Kayla. And we're so excited that you're here with us again for part two.
Thank
Kayla.
you. Hey, y'all. I'm happy to be here. I'm very excited. We have a lot to cover. I
Yes.
feel like
Yes.
we always have a lot to cover, but
All
I
Yes.
the
love that
time.
for us. I love that for us.
So, as we know it, masturbation is a very delicate topic, subject within religion, all
Mm-hmm.
religions. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
People have their different opinions, just like we were just discussing here behind the scenes.
Yeah.
My mom has her opinions
Yes.
on certain things where we're like, we don't agree, you know? So,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
so I feel like it's culture, it's interpretation, but also is our interpretation correct too?
Exactly.
Right. So I feel like there's so much on to remain pure and self-control.
I think
Hmm.
it's a good topic of conversation, and I think it's okay to have so many different, um, thoughts of how people
Mm,
feel about it.
yeah.
Just simply because we're discovering, okay, is the way I'm thinking about this right? Or should I
Hmm.
review or revise my thought about masturbation? Because if not all of us,
Mm-hmm.
most of us have experienced it. Whether we want to talk about it or not,
Mm-hmm.
there's been seasons of our lives, maybe, that we've had certain cravings.
Mm.
And to justify not committing adultery per se with another person, you find yourself
Having adultery with yourself.
having adultery with yourself, rediscovering, and giving the reasons behind it. So I think that, yeah, it's a pretty thin line, and it's educational for us to all find out, is this really good or not? I think we're still asking questions about it, which is a good thing. But we're
Yeah.
being honest and real. It's not time to hide it.
No.
It's just a reality. Some
Yeah.
of us are masturbating.
There's a quote that
Hmm.
says 98% of people masturbate and the other 2% are lying. They're liars.
So we're talking about 100% of you guys. Yeah.
Has tried to self discovered at one point
Hmm.
or another. Who
Hmm.
knows? But we have the sex coach here
Let us know what you think.
who is going to walk us through the first question that we have for her, which is masturbation considered a sin to you?
So off the bat, masturbation has been considered a sin by church people.
Mm-hmm.
People have used so many Bible scriptures to prove that it's bad, that it's wrong, that you shouldn't do it. And the first scripture that always comes to mind whenever I hear about masturbation is about where the Bible talks about spilling seed. And usually that's found in, I believe, Genesis 38, when it talks about Onan and how he had the duty of sleeping with his sister in law to produce an heir for his brother that is no longer living. And he chooses to have sex with this woman and then pull out and waste the semen, right? And everybody always, I'm always shocked by when people use that as, see, this is why you're not allowed to masturbate because you're spilling seed. And I
Mm.
think to myself, did God tell you to sleep with your sister in law to produce an heir and you chose to pull out and you didn't do it? And now, yes, masturbation and sin and spilling
Mm.
semen is bad? Because I really want us to really think about that. And we like to use so many scriptures out of context. This is about Onan not being um, righteous to what God has told him to. He wanted to do his own thing. He did not want to follow in the rules of God. He did not want to listen to what God had told him to do. And so he decides to do his own thing and he pulls out of this woman. The pulling out wasn't the problem, it was the following of directions. It was the fact that he was called to do something because an heir was so important, especially in this time and day, in this era. Having a son, having a king, having a prince was such an important thing. And this man said, forget that. I'm gonna take the pleasure portion and I'm gonna get real good and I'm gonna enjoy this baby making process. But as soon
Mm-hmm.
as it's time to put the baby together, I'm gonna pull out there. That is the problem, not
Mm.
the spilling of the semen. And people just love to hone in on that, and I just shake my head because I'm like, baby, look at the context. Please look at the context.
Mm.
And
She
so
said
I even
context.
doing some discovery and some looking at some reading and homework and studying.
Hmm.
It was hard for me to find scriptures where God is specifically telling man, stop masturbating, stop ejaculating and putting your semen on the ground
Right.
or in a sock or in the
Mm.
bed sheet or in the shower, wherever it is. Excuse me, that you're doing it as like there was so hard for me to find that, and I'm thinking
You
to
Mm.
know what's
myself,
funny? Because in reality, there's certain couples that are doing it as preventive measures not to have kids. For
mm,
example, like instead of like wearing condoms, or
They do the pull-up
they
method.
do the pull out
pull up
method.
method.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. So then, so then in
Is that a
reality,
sin?
yeah, it's making a lot of point. What you're saying is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah,
No.
we can't
Yeah.
use if you don't want to have a baby right now and your man is pulling out. Why are you being punished for that? The
Mm.
problem was it was God had ordained him and told him to make this child, and he chose not to. Is God whispering in your ear, woman of God with 4 kids, that you need to make another one?
Jesus,
Like,
Mm.
he
because
is
either way,
not.
when I if you put a condom on him,
Mm-hmm.
he's still spilling the semen into something. It's
That's
not going
true.
into your body. And
That's
I've
Right.
true.
heard so many couples use that as why, oh, a man can't pull out. He has to
I've heard
finish inside
that
of
is
me.
true.
Girl, what?
What?
That is so true.
I have never heard of
I
that one
have.
before.
I have
Yes.
because I met a guy. He said he
Yes.
does not pull out
Yes.
because it's a sin to him.
It's a sin. Hmm.
He has 7 kids.
But see, that's the girl fault. Cause honestly, that's another topic. She should have been at the.
But then
She
again,
should have been having some
but I
type
had a
of.
conversation with her. She said the Bible says to be submissive to your husband
Okay, what
and
does
to
that
be
have to do
obedient.
with what?
But that
So
was
it's
their
going in
logic.
this full circle.
It's full circle mode.
He,
So I feel like it works for
hmm
them.
That's taking it. Yeah, it works for them because listen, that
if
is taking it to the extreme. Even being submissive, me being submissive to my husband
Hmm.
does not mean that like I have to completely forget that because first of all, men needs to go study what happens to a woman's body every time she has a child.
It takes two
hmm
years for your body to
You
heal.
know, exactly. And as you age, it's even worse. So, I mean,
Hmm.
I'm not trying to say, I do believe in the concept of being submissive to your husband in the right context. And it
Yeah.
says to be submissive to this man that is, such in this tight relationship with God that, and he loves you so much, you automatically, it's nature. Like you submit to his, um,
Because your voice matters. Just like
right.
how,
hmm
I feel like if he loves
yeah.
you, he's not even gonna allow you to bear these 7 kids because he wants to be selfish about
But
not
that's his
pulling out.
misconception of the
But that's
Bible. And
his
there's so many
misconception.
people
Yeah.
who
But
have
that's,
Mm-hmm.
bad theology and bad
yes.
ideology. Just
Mm-hmm.
imagine, and I'm not coming against their marriage or their relationship because
Right.
obviously it's working for them.
Yeah.
But imagine the amount of people that are under leadership of a pastor with bad theology. Imagine the amount of people that are in churches with pastors and leaders and staff with bad theology.
That's just
They
another
are telling the
Facts.
conversation.
church to to lead and do this stuff, and it's not even
Mm-hmm.
biblically correct.
It's not. It's
No.
culturally
It
correct.
sounds good, exactly,
It
or it
sounds
sounds
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
pleasing, but a
Yeah.
lot of people don't look at context, look at origin, look at the original language. And that's why it's like it's crazy to me when people pick up a Bible and talk
Mhm.
about their preachers or their teachers of the gospel with no proper education. I'm not saying you have to go to a 7-year, 8-year school and go ahead and get this degree. It is the concept of God giving you and putting you in the place of scripture, and you even coming to God and saying, God, here's the scripture, help me as I study it. Because
Yeah.
it's crazy how many people would tell you to pray and really study and think about what you're about to read when you go to read Revelation.
Mm.
But I need that same discernment for all the other Bibles too, because there's
Yeah.
so much fruitfulness and richness in every other book that we
Mhm.
need discernment about. I can't
Yeah.
just open it up and expect the word to jump out at me. What about when you read in the Bible and it talks about how women should be quiet in the church? What was the context of that? There's
Mm.
a whole context and dialogue as to why he said that in
Yeah.
the first place. But people will love to take that little piece of word and run and tell
Mm.
all the women in the church, you can't talk in church.
Well, you know
Mm.
what? It's just like reading a Bible verse, right? And you
Hmm.
could read it 3 times, and all 3 times it means something different to you.
Because there's a different experience
Right?
life too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as you come in with maybe this journey of your life, this season of your life,
Mhm.
you're reading it and you understanding it this way, or the Holy Spirit is allowing you to see it this way,
Yeah.
and then you move on to another season of your life, and now you have outgrown the other one, and now you read it again, and it's like, man, it's speaking to me completely different.
Different.
So
Yeah.
I feel
Hmm.
like that's definitely one, and this is
Yeah.
one reason why building a tight relationship with God is truly important, and allowing the Holy Spirit to guide. Because I feel
Mhm.
like even to a certain extent, some of these schools are still moved by a religious background that's trying to somewhat sometime put in their own belief. You know what I'm saying? And not
Yeah, of
necessarily
course.
Yeah.
bringing the context of believing what the Holy Spirit is trying to translate. And this is why so many people will look at other churches and be like, well, they're not of God,
Yeah.
because they're trying to go by the book and the
Right.
rules of what the book says to do, right? And it's completely not the truth.
Even the
But
verse be fruitful and multiply.
yeah,
Hmm.
my God,
The way people
take it.
take it, I'm like, no, it's not just for kids. Because what do you tell the woman that can't have kids?
Uh, d- Come on now. And
She
I was
can't
going to
be
say
fruitful.
that. What if you cannot have
Like, what if you
children?
can't have kids? And then it's like,
Adopt them,
no,
I
it's
guess.
like you can be fruitful in so many other ways. And the Bible
What?
talks about being fruitful and multiplying in different ways as well. With your livestock,
Yeah.
with like your
Hmm.
talents, with your gifts. Oh, okay, I gave you this much. Well, now go out there,
Yeah.
multiply it.
My
So,
goodness.
so many people mistake that, and being fruitful is throughout the whole Bible. It's
Yeah.
all over Songs of Solomon, but they don't want to talk about it.
Mm.
Hmm.
So it's
Hmm.
like I'm going down to eat thy fruits. Okay.
Probably they thought
I'm going, girl. They think it's Whole Foods. It
right.
means you're going to Publix or something to pick up fresh fruit.
She meant a
Produce
banana.
section.
My goodness.
Her navel. What does her navel have to do? If we are talking about walking the beach, why am I looking at her belly button? This. Your neck is like this. Your breasts cuddle like this. There is so
Right.
much descriptive wording
Breast is
in
probably
in.
mountains. I don't know.
Whether you got mountains or maybe you got ant hills, either one.
Right.
It's the factor of this is about the body,
Yeah.
you know?
My
Right.
goodness.
So that's that. But back to the point of masturbation, and I believe there's such a difference. There are levels to, hey, I'm exploring, or hey, I enjoy this part. I enjoy
Mm.
partaking with my spouse versus an addiction. There's a difference. There's a difference between I don't know how to stop to where I have to do it at work. I am getting fired from jobs.
Mm.
I am doing
Mm.
this masturbating in my car in public spaces and getting tickets and possibly going to jail
My
because I
Mm.
goodness.
don't know how to control it.
Yeah.
And that is the lust and that fire that the Bible talks about being able to
Mercy.
control. If I am doing sexy night with my husband 2 nights out of the week and we agreed agreed on this and it's planned and we do it together, that doesn't seem like this out of order, lustful rage and desire that's not controlled. No, we got a
Mm-hmm.
schedule going on. And when we do
Mm.
it, there is nothing out of the ordinary. And this is why, if I could tell y'all this, but it might be a little spicy for some folk,
Oh
but
Lord.
I totally believe
Mm-hmm.
in making your own home videos. I believe in it
Mm.
wholeheartedly. And let me tell you why. And it's not for everybody. I feel
Yes.
like I feel like I'm preaching when I say this. This might be
Mercy.
about 30 of y'all listening,
Mm-hmm.
because somebody under the sound of my voice might have had a porn addiction, right? And so now you've grown an appetite to what you like and how you like to jack off and how you like to masturbate. Let me use the correct terms. How you like to masturbate, how you like to touch yourself. And now you have been you've trained yourself to only desire and get aroused for a certain type of person,
Mm.
to where if your spouse or your partner doesn't match that description, you can't get aroused for them because now you've trained the body and the mind.
Mm.
Let's talk about the mind because there's power in the mind.
It's
Mm-hmm.
You've
powerful.
trained your mind to only tell your body to get turned on for a certain category of porn, And
Mm.
now that you
My
have
God.
your spouse beside you, you can appreciate her
Mm.
dark hair because you've only watched blondes. You can
Mm.
appreciate his hairy chest because you've only seen men with the chiseled, baby bodied, no hair,
Six
looking
pack.
fresh
Oiled
out the
up.
womb.
Oiled
I'm trying to
up.
tell you, you can appreciate the natural state of your spouse because you've only
Mm.
seen the dolled up versions. You've trained your body to do this. And
My
I
God.
say to some people, because once again, this is not for everybody. Some people, God has had to take media away from you altogether. You can't even do media
Mm.
because
Mercy.
it is you haven't fully healed out of it. You are working your way out into deliverance. You're not
Right.
fully there yet. Making your own home videos allows you to see yourself and allows you to get turned on by your body, by your spouse, by your sounds, by your
Mm.
movements. And it's just like such a good and intimate way to create a bond. Make a movie. Make a movie for your anniversary. Make a movie for his birthday, her birthday, whatever the case may be. Just because it's a Wednesday, let's make a video. And then let's entertain ourselves. Let's touch ourselves to this, if this is going to be the case. Me, in my own personal opinion, not for everybody, but my personal opinion, doing this, masturbating, touching myself within my marriage bed, I believe there's a certain sacredness that comes with that versus it just being randoms versus it being outside of the marriage bed. And this is not to shame anybody who does it outside of that. This is my personal
Mm.
Right.
opinion, especially with my spiritual side and emphasis that I have to me,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's just such a beauty in being able to do it with your partner. And I know somebody singles like, well, girl, I'm not married yet. I don't
Right.
have no man. I'm supposed to not touch myself until I get him. What am I supposed to do with this rose I just bought? I get you, sis. I hear you. I hear you. I fully do. And we gotta talk about toys, y'all. We gotta talk about toys.
Yes, we
But
are.
Let me tell you
um,
something. I one thing I wanted to say that I love that you shared, by the way, it's just simply, again, I go back to journeys, right? A journey is different for everybody
Mm-hmm.
because
it
someone
is.
can be in a relationship right now and married, and like you said, maybe your husband or your spouse used to just sit and watch porns, and this is what kind of like got them going.
Mm-hmm.
Others, maybe it was to a certain sound of music or
Mm,
maybe a certain way
mhm,
of being touched.
mhm,
Whatever, rock your boat. Whatever
Right.
rocks your boat, that's how you did it. But now think about those, right? And I'm speaking to those that are now single.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you've been someone that was married for so many years and you experience sex a specific way, or those that were molested and raped. I mean, we're
mhm.
being real, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a certain craving that takes hold of your body. And
Mhm,
until you could train yourself to ask God for this help, it's like you have nowhere. Your
Mm-hmm.
movements are different. Like you're trying to sit
mhm,
down, you can't
Mm.
sit, you can't stand, you can't concentrate, you can't focus because it's like your body is Hey, when you're hungry, you go for food,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And now this
Yeah.
craving is taken on,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to satisfy it,
Right.
but you don't want to run through the streets because now you don't want a name associated, and you don't want your name being called out. You don't want to be called like, oh, this, and then you can make calls because I'm sure there's a couple people waiting for you to fall like that and be like, yo, can you just come through? Because I really need, I
Right.
need for you to scratch this itch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you know how is to possibly
Masturbate.
masturbate. Get in the shower, use the shower head, whatever you choose to do. If you've already and this is your only way of relief until you have. I mean, it's not because you're doing it because you're trying to replace a man. You're doing it because you're trying to prevent yourself from doing what you shouldn't be doing, especially those that their sexual
Right.
appetite are to the extreme. Because some of us, maybe in our relationship,
Mm-hmm.
we forgot about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so our self discovery was put at the bottom. We were
Mm-hmm.
only there to be
Right.
puppets of a relationship. So
Mm.
it's like even our sexual activities in the bedroom were not really fully to the to the most that it could have been. Why? Because you were basically doing it out of habit or to avoid conflict. But then
Mm-hmm.
now, when you're in a space where you're rediscovering yourself, and now you're starting to love yourself in a way that you've never loved yourself before.
Right.
And then
Mm-hmm.
or you've received attention elsewhere that reminds you that you're worth it. Or you're capable of. And now you're coming down, your anxieties are going down, and now your body is literally healing itself. And things that you didn't experience for so long are now rebirthing, and now the being horny is now normal. Now you
Mm-hmm.
connect to someone that tells you, I am so horny right now. Because you couldn't connect to it before. Your body didn't desire it. But as it is
Mm-hmm.
healing itself
Mm-hmm.
spiritually, emotionally, you have that you know what it feels to be horny.
Right.
You know what it is to like literally just think of something and you gotta go and change. Do
Mm.
you understand? So now
Yeah.
someone that is now taking care of that desire, that is now masturbating in that fashion,
Right.
you know what I mean? Now, I don't know if I'm comfortable telling you, no, don't do it.
Right.
So what I would say is when it comes to, because this is why I'm saying this is such a touchy subject. Sex is touchy because it affects
Mm-hmm.
all of us so differently. God's
Right.
relationship with all of us is different, and what He is going to instruct us to do and how to carry ourselves is going to be different, right? There might be somebody who they are, if you are in a place where you have to question and you don't feel comfortable and you keep feeling guilty and shamed every time you reach for a toy or every time you watch something or every time you touch yourself, I would tell you, honey, this might not be for you.
Yeah.
Mm.
This might not be for you.
Mm.
And that's okay. And so, but you're like, I don't feel right doing it. But it's like I feel all these emotions, or I feel this way, or I always feel aroused. Then get your body into submission if that is what you desire.
And that's where
If
self
you,
control comes in. Yeah.
which I was gonna say, if that is where you feel like you are, if you feel like, God, I don't feel like I'm serving you well with
Yeah.
all these toys in my room, with all these
Mm.
desires and these thoughts, and sometimes it's hard for me to look at a man and not think about undressing him and not think about doing this,
My
then
God.
sis, you get your body unto submission. Because if you know you are a phone
Mm.
call away from being on your back in somebody else's room, and that
Yeah.
is not what you believe God's designed for you,
Mm-hmm.
and that is not where you believe your Christian and spiritual journey is
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be, then baby, you pray, you fast, you separate yourself. Because at the end of this is a temple. This
It
body
is.
is a temple.
Yeah.
And I have to take care of this body. I have
Mm.
to
Mm.
take care of this body.
Yeah.
And once again, somebody else's journey with God, maybe they bought a rose and they don't feel any type of way.
Mm.
Okay, it hasn't affected them. Maybe there's somebody listening out here who's like, yeah, I touch myself in the morning, or I do it to go to sleep.
Mm.
That's my melatonin. you
Yeah.
know I release some good hormones and then I go to sleep. Okay, if you have heard this and maybe you're questioning if this is right for you,
Mm-hmm.
go ask God.
Yeah.
Ask him.
Mm.
Yeah.
If you've ever spoken to him and asked him, If the job is right for you, you can ask him if masturbation is right for me.
Yeah,
Ask
that's
him.
true.
Because asking your pastor, asking your sister, asking your mama, asking your friend, everybody's testimony is different.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. And I hate giving sterile cookie cutter responses to the person next to me when that might not be my testimony and it might not be theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. According to Christianity.com, it does say
Hmm.
that masturbation is different from self control. So it's not the same thing where masturbation is instant self pleasure, self control is just freedom from your passions,
Mm.
Hmm.
right? It's just a gift from God, it's a fruit of the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So where self control comes into masturbation is because according to them, masturbation is never stated in the Bible of it's a sin or you can't do it.
Right.
So there are clear verses on okay, don't have sex with an animal, right?
Right.
There,
Bestiality.
Yeah.
right.
Hmm.
So there are strict instructions on who you can and cannot sleep with, right? There are strict instructions on okay, don't sleep with a woman when she's on her period,
Right.
right? So it's like, okay, what's the common denominator of all of these things, right? The reason why they said why masturbation could be interpreted as a sin is because of lust.
Yeah.
And it's the mind. It is the
And
mind.
it's the
Mm-hmm.
Like I
mind.
said, and there are some people who cannot control themselves. They are getting.
Mm.
Can you imagine getting fired from your job because they found out that you're masturbating in the bathroom stalls on your lunch breaks?
Yeah, and that has
Or
happened.
now they're making it easier. They have pennies for that. You just like click on it and
Yeah, the
just.
masturbation fetish, which I think are so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to,
Mm.
if we can lean into toys and stuff, I want to
Yes.
tell
Mm-hmm.
people right now, I have not been able to test the variation. I can't give you a review on them, and it's not. And if I can be clear and concise, once again,
Mm-hmm.
y'all know I'm a very open and candid person.
Right.
Yes.
Just being transparent
Mm-hmm.
with listeners and viewers. I have had my own personal hangups with toys. I don't think they are bad. I think they are great enhancements. I think they are
Mm-hmm.
great assistants to your bedroom.
Mm.
I
Mm.
personally enjoy the the presence of my husband. I like having my man with me. I like him being the one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, um,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to get to a point because I slightly have an addictive personality to where when he's not home or I'm not with him, I am replacing it. And for me, it would be replacement. It would not be assistance. Okay.
Mercy.
So I
Mm.
have not tried, tested, and approved anything. I have tons of girlfriends who have the rose who've told me over and over again, this is the greatest thing. And it's like, I'm gonna tell you something. If the rose is as good as everybody's saying it, I
You're
don't
not
need
trying
him.
it. Right.
I don't need
You're not trying it.
You
him.
know what? And I
I'll be
think
great.
it's, and I will say this too, because my experience is crazy. Because for me, I'm just like you. I like the physical presence. Like I
Yeah,
like
I need to
Right.
talk
the
to him.
warmth. I need
Mm-hmm.
somebody to talk to me. I need somebody
Yeah.
to that I don't want something I could okay, volume one, bzz, volume two, bzz, volume three. Like it's
Right.
not working
Levels.
for me.
Yeah.
Like I don't like that robotic
Mm-hmm.
relationship. And
Hmm.
then I tried it because I was like, man, this is not working for me, you know.
Right.
And then it was off because I realized I'm by myself in the room. I think the next day I tossed it out. I was like, what am I doing? And that's why I'm saying everybody's different. But for me, it was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
man, I'm by myself. It's not talking to me. It's not talking, you know what I mean? It's not
No.
saying, and then
Yeah.
at the end, it's not holding me. And it
Yeah.
didn't do
It's not holding
anything
me.
for me. Like
Mm.
it
It's not
didn't do
holding me.
anything at all. Like it didn't me. Now the possibility of being married and like you said, using it as a added fun
For
thing to
games,
do
Hmm.
for
something.
games, okay, maybe that'll
Mm-hmm.
be different because I could physically look at the person that is trying to, you know, give me the pleasure that I'm asking for.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But by myself, for me, honestly, yeah, it didn't really do
But
nothing
what about the
at all.
couples that have long distance marriages, and they're going
Mhm.
through tough times on their own?
So they're talking on the phone.
They're talking on the
So
phone,
how do we call
but
it again? Sex,
like there's phone sex,
phone sex,
Yeah.
sexting.
and now we have FaceTime. So now there's FaceTime
Yeah, we
sex,
do.
Oh Lord.
right?
Yeah, we do.
So it just brings me to the
Mm.
next point: is if I'm in a relationship, is it harmful for the both of us to
To
be in
do
a
what?
long distance and masturbate? Because you are masturbating against yourselves, and some people could be like, no, like that's wrong, you're not supposed to. But am I supposed to be celibate this whole time? Let's say
N-
he's in the army and he's gone for like 6 months, 8 months,
See,
you
first
know
of all,
That's a
we wouldn't
long
be
time.
dating, but I
but some
think,
people get deployed out for that long.
Yeah, they do. They really do. So, I mean,
man.
once again, I don't have a cookie cutter response to this.
Hmm.
I believe it's a beautiful thing to keep spices going when there's
Right.
such a distance between you. Not everybody has the ability to fly out every weekend to see their man or their woman. Not
Right.
everybody has
So
that.
true.
So if we
Hmm.
can create ways to see each other, if I can send you a pillow with my perfume on it when you lay down, if you can send me your hoodie that I can wrap myself up in when I go to bed. I
Hmm.
love that. I love that. I love that. Is this a controlled thing? Because you are gone, am I trying to sleep with everybody else around me? Have we
Mm.
opened our marriage to be like, well, babe, I'm going to be gone for about 5 more months.
So now
So
it's an
you might
open
as well find
marriage.
you a boyfriend till I get home. What is this?
What?
Right?
Right.
What are we doing? Because also at the end of the day, and if I can just be clear on this,
Hmm.
stay out of married people business.
No,
And I
what?
feel
Right?
that wholeheartedly.
I
I
Yes.
feel so
agree.
strong about that.
Yes. Say
Like,
that again.
what
I
works for
agree.
me in my marriage might not work for you in your marriage. So you keep your marriage
Mm-hmm.
business over there, and I'm gonna keep mine
Yes.
over
Mm-hmm.
here. Because as a married woman, I made so many married friends, and I'm looking every time I meet someone. I'm like, me and Diddy, we look at each other like, dang, that's what they be doing. And it's crazy because it's like people look at
Mm-hmm.
marriage as this blanket, this umbrella, like we're all the same, and
And we're not.
we are not
It's
on
different
the same.
personalities.
It's
So
you know
different
what?
There's
things,
different wants. There's different needs.
coping
You know what I'm
mechanisms,
saying?
how
There's
we do
different
things.
sexual
Right.
appetite. There's different. I mean,
Because
and
one
this
couple could be extremely boring,
that's what I
according
Yeah,
to you.
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
According to
According to
you.
you.
You're right.
Hmm.
And you're like, wait, I got poles in our bedrooms. And now we're looking at each other like, is that wrong?
Right.
I'm like, no, it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
Hush
yeah.
up. Don't listen to your friend. You
Right.
know?
Exactly,
you know?
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
And there's
Because,
toys, there's games,
hmm
there's mirrors, there's like what? A whole bunch of stuff now.
come on,
And we're having
mirrors.
fun. Come on,
Y'all know I'm a
mirrors.
I
fan.
mean, let me tell you, when you mentioned it, I was like, huh, I want mirrors. I want and you know what? And this is why I feel like, okay, yeah, having a conversation about sex, right? It's such a recipe. Everybody have their different recipe to what their sexual experience have been,
Mm-hmm.
right? And everybody can talk about it when they were single, when they were doing all their dirt, and
Right.
they have.
Hmm.
But the
Hmm.
moment you get married, now you want to bring
Laws,
laws into my
rules.
bedroom on top of,
Hmm.
like, I mean,
Hmm.
I've waited for this to happen, or I rebranded myself, and now when I'm in the bedroom, I want to feel vulnerable. I want to experience
Yeah.
these things,
Yeah.
and I got to think behind my back, well, am I doing anything that, God, are you gonna be like? There's always some type of control from an outsider, even in my bedroom now.
Yeah.
And I think
Girl.
that one thing,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people, and I can only imagine pastors, certain
You
pastors.
are in my head right now. You're in
Man,
my
I
head
can
because I was
only
going to say
imagine
something.
certain pastors,
Right.
and they don't know how to take that title off their heads when it comes to their
Hmm.
bedroom with their husband.
Right. But you don't remember that one pastor
Yeah.
though? Because okay. So quick insert. So we have women's ministry at our church. So I
Mm.
so we spoke about oral sex.
Yeah.
and how like you can practice it and what to
Mm-hmm.
do. And next, somebody asked the guest pastor that was preaching that week, is it a sin? So now the guest pastor, oh, I can't believe you guys are talking about this at your church. And this is
Mm-hmm.
wrong. So now he goes in the middle of his sermon the next night, because we all were supposed to agree what happens in women's ministry stays
Stays.
in women's ministry.
Women's
But
ministry.
someone had to go talk to the guest pastor,
Yeah.
and ask him if it was a sin, and this is what we were talking about. And she's like, oh, I didn't know, and I'm just like, why does she go do that now? Because we knew that personality of that specific pastor. So of course, in his true fashion self, he went on the stage and he said, this is wrong. You're not supposed to give head.
He probably never got it done, or he got other people to do it in secret.
Who knows?
Because
But
I mean,
all
if
know
he's
is-
reading the Bible, clearly it is there.
So we had a whole discussion now in the middle of a sermon about head. So now the sermon turned into group discussion because it wasn't going down for certain people, because we're like, what's wrong? He literally said it was sexual immorality. And I'm a stickler for definition. If everyone knows me, I like when people use a word and it's within its definition, or if it's a word that has several definitions, use it properly.
Right.
Yes.
So just like we were talking about before we got on camera, what is sexual immorality? And the Bible's so clear, and the Hebrew translation is clear, is anything outside of your marriage. Anything outside of marriage is sexual immorality. So when we were talking about it, we're like, what's wrong with head? What's wrong with exploring your partner? What's wrong with touching? Like what is wrong with that?
But
Because
that goes back to the place where people have had experiences and now they are feel guilty and they are shamed, so they want to guilt trip and shame everybody else because God has come to their bedroom and said, "Hey, you stop this. This ain't for you. You stop giving head." And now they're like, "Great, I must tell the world to stop giving head."
Yeah.
No, honey, you stop giving head because you are not of God, and nor are you a Christian whenever you do it. You embody something else. Those are different spirits that you like to play with. That is not of God. Whatever it is messing up your relationship and your spiritual journey with God. So God said, "You stop." But he didn't tell me to stop because I'm a keep on with my,
Whatever
got
you do, yeah, yeah,
3,000. Okay.
Right.
Don't worry about me. And the thing is, and y'all, and this is why I'm so excited. A little shameless plug, because I'm gonna be teaching men and women how to give oral. I feel like there's such an embarrassment around not knowing how to do something that we just automatically shut it down or tell somebody it's wrong when you just don't know how to. So let me help you. I want to teach you how to.
Ew, and
And
numb
then
the throat.
also doing it
You
around your
can
partner's
do that.
likings,
So.
because I can't me teaching you to just do it, but then you do it with your husband or you do it with a boyfriend or whatever the case may be, it might not be the same for everybody.
Some of them forget that they're not in the proper hole, and they get excited, and it's just going ham. And now you gotta have not only like you're holding yourself not to fall off, right? And then you like, I just ate. Now you try to make sure you don't get. So it's so many things
that's
to
the
it.
lot.
But then I hear those that they do the numbing and then they forget that they have to breathe. So now you got another case in your hand. Now you got somebody asking you, "Are you alive?"
You alive?
So I've heard that there's different method to this where you could train yourself, like when you brush your teeth, like slowly go down, train yourself. Because some of us, our gag reflex are like great. I've been
Sensitive.
very sensitive, and I'm like, man, I need to read about this. Like, can you train yourself not to have such a gag reflex? You know what I'm saying? When that happens. But like I said, but even then, like in the moment of
But a toothbrush to a penis, I don't know.
it's the length. It's not because gosh, there's different things that
I don't know.
happen.
Do you practice with a dildo?
What?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
See, boom, she said yeah.
You say yeah?
Yeah, I mean but it's your safety. It's how you feel. Because obviously Miranda seems very uncomfortable with this. It's not her. This she don't want to
No,
do that.
because I
And I
think that
feel
it's
you.
unrealistic. Because in reality, the dildo just stands still, and so it's not really the motion of what it would be like
So
with
how are
your
you supposed to
husband.
So
practice?
can I want to ruin your innocence a little bit, man, just a little bit.
Lord, she said, "My."
There
I
will
know
be
the one.
I
I
want to
know the
learn. I want
ones.
to learn.